Welcome aboard of Viajero, Travel with Passion, where we embark on journeys that inspire the soul. I'm your guide, Sam Waters, and together we'll uncover Europe's hidden gems, share unforgettable experiences, and dive deep into the heart of travel. Join me on an adventure in this podcast, which will leave you inspired, informed, and ready to explore on your own. Let's make every voyage a story worth telling. Bon voyage! Lisbon, Portugal, Episode 3: Where to Stay. Welcome to this third episode where we dive into the where to stay in Lisbon. Because a good stay is a crucial part of an unforgettable trip. Whether you're looking for a hotel with all comforts, budget-friendly hostels, or a stay with a more local atmosphere. By listening to this episode, you will get more information about finding your perfect stay. I also will inform you about what you can expect of staying in the different neighborhoods of Lisbon, the aspects that can be very interesting, but also what you may prefer to avoid, as well as some tips to find your perfect stay on online booking platforms and book your stay in Lisbon on your own without a travel agency. So let's dive into Lisbon to find the perfect place for your stay from where you can experience this wonderful city just the way you want. In the previous episodes, I already told you about the different neighborhoods in Lisbon, so you already know more about how Lisbon is built up and what to find where. To find a good stay in Lisbon, you can go for flat neighborhoods, authentic neighborhoods, or even a neighborhood with a lively atmosphere. First, I start with my preferred neighborhood to look for a stay in Lisbon. This is Baixa, part of Santa Maria Maior. Because Baixa is the lowest and flattest neighborhood in the historic city center, it is a great neighborhood if you don't like to climb to reach your stay. It also is located central in the city, so when you stay here, almost every interesting neighborhood is around you at walking distance. Baixa is also the neighborhood where you can take every kind of transport: bus, metro, tram, elevator, train, taxi. Everything is close to you, as well as a great and easy connection to the international airport. In Baixa you find some great restaurants, but I'll tell you more about this in the next episode. So to summarize, Baixa is my personal preferred neighborhood to stay, because you stay central in the historic city center with the possibility of affordable prices. Also, the perfect public transport connection makes it a win for me. Some great stays in Baixa I can recommend are Hotel Gatrocio and Pensão Praça da Figueira. Also, the different hotels of my story are a great choice. You can find the links of these stays in the description of this episode. People who are looking for a stay in a typical historic neighborhood can go for Alfama or Mureria. Staying in one of these two neighborhoods means immersing yourself in the soul of the old Lisbon, with a labyrinth of narrow picturesque streets and alleys paved with cobblestones, as well as colorful tiled facades and fado music coming from cozy restaurants around you. Alfama is also Lisbon's most touristic neighborhood and very hilly, so some of the charming features of this neighborhood also have a little downsides. One of them is that it can be very noisy when you stay in this neighborhood. Most buildings also are very old and don't have an elevator, but very narrow, steep and high stairs. Also, rooms are not always very large. Another aspect to keep in mind is the public transport in these neighborhoods Alfama and Mureria. Throughout the main streets passes the bus and the old city trams. Also a taxi can drive here, but when your stay is more in the labyrinth of narrow streets, Maybe it's possible that your preferred transport can't drive close to the address of your stay. So maybe you have to walk with your luggage through the narrow and steep streets paved with cobblestones. But on the other hand, it is all part of the charm of Alfama and Moreria, and not always a bad aspect. Some great stays in Alfama are Pousada Alfama and Casa do Patio. To find a stay in the cultural and artistic part of Lisbon, you have to look at the neighbourhoods Chiado and Príncipe Real. Theatres, the opera house, famous bookstores, as well as concept stores and meeting points for artists are widely available in these two neighborhoods, and these neighborhoods also attracts a lot of people with an artistic mindsets. So staying in Shadow and Príncipe Real is staying in a more modern, iconic and inspiring neighborhoods in the historic city center of Lisbon. These neighborhoods are also located a little bit higher, so it means that you maybe have to climb to reach your stay. But as told in the second episode about exploring Lisbon, there also are great alternatives to reach these neighborhoods, like elevators, funiculars, tram and bus. Another positive point of staying here is that these neighborhoods are close to the attractive points of the neighborhoods Bairro Alto and Cais do Sodré. Bairro Alto, Santa Catarina and Cais do Sodré are ideal to stay if you want to stay close to a lot of restaurants and the nightlife of Lisbon. Especially from dinner time, these neighborhoods come to life. Throughout the many restaurants and bars, it can be very noisy. So when you book a stay here and you want to have a quiet room, be sure it is not above a restaurant, a bar, or a nightclub, especially when you book via Airbnb. Because before you complete your booking, Airbnb doesn't give you the exact address out of privacy of the hosts. Some great stays in these neighborhoods are Monte Belvedere Hotel, Palacio de Santa Catarina, and 45 Santa Catarina boutique apartments. Also from these stays you can find the links in the description of these episodes. People who are looking for more luxury stays, hotels with more stars, or stays with larger rooms can look for a stay at Marquês de Pombal, the Avenidas Novas, or the neighborhood Santo Antonio. These neighborhoods are a little bit further from the historic city center, but still have a great connection with metro and bus to reach all the monuments in a fast and comfortable way. These neighborhoods are also popular by people who visit Lisbon for the first time and by business people. When you look for a stay in these neighborhoods, take a look at Casa Belmont Guest House, Hotel Florida, Hotel Phoenix, and Republica Bed and Breakfast. There are also more options to stay out of the historic city center of Lisbon. In this case, you also can go for a stay at Belém or Alcantara. Here it can be possible to find a cheaper stay, and they are still close to some famous monuments to discover in Lisbon. During the day, both neighborhoods will be very touristy and lively, but in the evening you stay more between the locals. Because Belém and Alcantara are a little bit further from the historic city center, you also have to travel further to reach the city center of Lisbon. Some possibilities are the bus, tram and train to reach Cais do Sodré, Praça do Comércio or Praça da Figueira. People who really want to stay a little bit further from the city center of Lisbon can also stay at the other side of the Tagus River. For example, in Cacilhas, Pareiro, Montijo, or Seixal. A ferry brings you in around 10 minutes from Cacilhas to Cais do Sodré and vice versa. It is around 20 to 30 minutes between the other locations and the historic city center of Lisbon. In Cacilhas, it is also possible to take a bus to reach the city center of Lisbon, as well as locations like Costa da Caparica and Cristo Rei. Lisbon is a very safe city, but of course it also has some neighborhoods you better avoid as a tourist, especially to look for a stay. It is not specifically due to higher risk of crime or more nightlife noise, but sometimes simply because these neighborhoods are further from the tourist attractions and more situated in neighborhoods where locals live. There is mostly nothing to do for tourists close to a possible stay. Some of these neighborhoods you better avoid as a tourist for a stay are Intendent, Anjos, Chelas, and Olayas. Finally, I also want to give you some tips about how to find a perfect stay in Lisbon on your own by using online booking sites and no need for a travel agency. On sites like Booking.com or Expedia, filter on stays with a review rating of 8 and higher, and of course with enough reviews. Because my personal experience is that in most cases you can find great stays in Lisbon with a review score from 8 and above. Below 8 it can be more tricky that you booked a stay which is not very okay or what you want. When you're looking for an hotel, the amount of stars doesn't really matter. In a city like Lisbon, you can also find very good 2 and 3-star hotels, maybe with more compact rooms, but still very comfortable. But of course, it all depends on your own needs. So, out of my own experiences, I can advise you that it is better to look at the facilities of the hotel and what they offer for your booking price, instead of focusing on the stars of the hotel. Also, a good idea is open the map to see where the hotel is located in the city. And last but not least, search the web to see if the stay you prefer also has a nice and up-to-date personal website, because this gives more trust that the stay you are looking for is still active. Maybe they also can offer you better prices or better conditions on their own site compared to the sites of online booking platforms. But to find a good stay in Lisbon, you can already start by clicking on the links in the description of this episode. So find the perfect stay for your Lisbon trip and make an unforgettable journey of it. The next episode will inform you about the gastronomy, what to eat and drink, and where to find great restaurants in Lisbon. So immerse yourself completely in this wonderful city by also listening to the next episode of this podcast, Travel with Passion, Lisbon Inside Tips. Thank you for listening to this episode. Don't hesitate to give your review and subscribe to follow us. More travel information can be found on voyagero.io. Bye bye until the next episode or podcast.